Hey everyone, Shawn, Mu, and Sav.
Hey guys.
We got a fabulous session for you on the driver today. I know many of you want to improve that area, and we're here for that. There was a wonderful review and research that has been done by My Golf Spy.
That's right.
And they were, studying the different heights of tees. Should you go on a low tee or should you go on a high tee? And it is mixed out there on the PGA Tour. We know that a lot of our students struggle with the high tee. We have the best technique out there for you to maximize and benefit from that. And these two will show you, and this guy too, will show you how that works. But then for many of you who prefer to hit on a low tee, we're going to show you how to maximize your game on that low tee, because there's one aspect of that little research that we didn't agree on, is the fact that the low tee was less accurate. And in our book, it should be as accurate. And for many of you, it's going to be more accurate. It all depends who you are and how you perceive things. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of this, shall we? All right. Now, to help us with this, we have the new DS Adapt driver from Cobra. And where I have a 9-degree driver that I can go to 7 degrees when I'm going high on the tee, or I can go to 11 degrees when I want to tee it low. And the beauty of the new drivers is that they're very, very low spin. If you hit them off the bottom of the club, yes, you will get a lot of backspin. And even though it's a lot less than it used to be, you're still going to lose a little bit more distance if you're above 2,500 RPM. But we're going to show you an amazing way to use the low tee and still benefit from very low spin, relatively high launch drives that are going to be extremely stable. So I'm going to take my driver down to, I'm going to take my driver up to 11 degrees and we'll get cracking. So according to the chart here, C7 is the alpha numeric number that I need. Wow, look at that.
Let's see.
So already I can see more loft in that driver. So let's see how much spin we actually get out of it. So you'll notice when I set up my driver, I want to have the ball teed up in a way where the equator of the ball is slightly above the equator of my club face, so that when the sole of the club stays along the ground, hear that sound? So I'm essentially hitting this driver just like a fairway would. Or the new fairway drivers, that the mini drivers that you see out there. Many companies are making a mini driver now. So I'm going to lay down my club, and I'm going to put the center of the club in the center of my feet and play the ball just forward of that. I'm going to play for my fade here, so I'm going to aim just a little bit left of my intermediate point. And now my eyes are on the ground between the club and the ball, and I'm focused on the sole of the club that's going to stay along the surface of the ground to the left of my intermediate point. Here we go. So, very accurate driver. Nice little carry there, about 280 right down the middle of the fairway. And if we look at spin, so 2,700 RPM. I did hit that a little low on the face. Very, very little side spin. And there's my cruising club head speed at 109 miles an hour. So you can see that the total distance was very reasonable. Let me see if I can just grab one on the center of that club face. So I'm going to let the sole of the club stay more along the surface of the ground. That was solid. Didn't fade on me, but that'll be left side, maybe left rough. There, we got a little extra juice out of that one. And you'll see that my spin has gone down substantially. So now we're at 2,500 backspin and only 220 side spin. My carry was 270, 292 total. My peak height was 107 miles an hour. So far, not bad. Efficiency there was 1.44, and my launch angle was 12.6. So I could probably nudge that down a half degree, and it'll take a little bit more spin off the ball, and I'll probably benefit a little bit more from that club. But, you know, close to 300 yards, very accurate, that'll do really well.
Yeah, that works.
So let's now look at what happens when I crank this puppy down to 7 degrees and I tee it up on my high tee, and then we're gonna execute a much, you know, obviously you can see that my angle of attack is going to be substantially lower. So if we look at angle of attack, that was 4 degrees up, which is pretty much the highest you can do off that particular height of tee. And, you know, so then it's only 12.6 degrees of launch from an 11 degree head. So for many of you, when you're staying along the surface of the ground with the sole of the club, you're essentially using the ground as a training aid. And if you just stay low in the backswing and low in the follow through, and you keep the sole of the club staying along the surface of the ground, that's going to stabilize the club head and really provide for accurate drives. Nothing takes away more distance than a pop fly. So the last thing you want to do, if you're struggling on a high tee and you have a lot of pop flies, you'll really appreciate what we're going to talk to you about next. That's going to help you big time. If you succeed, fantastic. If you don't, you always have this to fall back on. But the last thing we want to do is go to the ball. So if you hit down on the ball and you have a descending angle of attack, that's going to put way more spin on the ball. You'll see that spin will skyrocket up to 3,500 to 4,000 RPM in a heartbeat. And that's because you're letting the ball become your target instead of staying along the ground into the direction of the real target, which is out there. That is a significant difference in focus, and that is a significant difference in performance in the outcome. So let's look at the high tee now. So now on the chart, I am F3. F3 is over here. It's minus 1.7 degrees of loft. So I'm at 7.3 degrees of loft on the driver there, and slightly a little flatter and slightly a little more open, which is what, you know, the better players like to use. So nothing looks worse to a good player than a closed face and something that's draw biased. That is something that's going to really hinder your ability to swing freely. So this DS Adapt technology, first and foremost, when I look down at this club now, I see very little loft and I see a little bit more open face, and it really inspires a lot of confidence. Number two, on a hybrid and a fairway wood, look out, man. That's like a game changer for the better player, okay? So I'm going to play my little power fade. I'm going left of my intermediate point here. Now watch the difference. So the key is I want to go to the left. And what you need to understand is that the golf swing forms an arc. Let me demonstrate very simply. The club head is tied to the shaft. The shaft is tied to your arms. The arms are tied to your shoulder sockets. It's like a ball on a string. So if I want this ball on a string to catch this tee on the way up, this is what it's going to look like. So I put it in action. I see where the blur is. I see where the bottom of the blur is. This is massively important information for your brain. So now from there, I can see that I'm going to catch the tip of the tee on the way back up. So I bring that over, and now you can see that I'm catching the tee on the way up, and it's causing the tee to somersault toward the target. So when I'm catching the tip of the tee on the way up to cause it to somersault toward the target, I am through the ball big time. I am ascending through there, and I am moving in a very specific direction in regards to my intermediate point. So I'm going to be very accurate, and the distance difference can be quite significant. Okay, so let's have a look at a couple here. That feels like my momentum is going left edge, and it feels like I'm going to catch the tip of the tee on the way up, causing the tee to somersault to the left of the intermediate point. So I'm going to use a nice dose of momentum to accomplish that task, and let's see what happens. Whoa, that was pretty good. So now we've got over 290 carry and 320 total. So 111 club speed, 160 ball speed, 1.44 efficiency, solid hit. Look at my backspin now, 1,595 RPM, and you can see peak height. I really caught that nice. It was 100 feet, very similar, but that's because I've got way less loft. I'm now at 7 degrees instead of 11 degrees. But look at my launch angle. I'm at 14.3. So I'm really catching that ball on the way up. So I am at 8 degrees up and 14 degrees launch. And that spin is super low. So I'm gonna get a really nice carry. And that's typically just a little bit lower than the tee I normally use. So let me show you one more with the tee that I would normally use. Now maximum tee height is 4 inches, right? So you can see I've got probably an extra ½ inch on that particular tee here, and that's gonna bring my launch angle that much higher. So here we go. I'm going left of the intermediate point. I feel like I'm catching the tip of the tee on the way up, and I'm going to somersault that tee to the left of the intermediate point. We're going to use some nice momentum to do that with. Here we go. All right, so now we're over 300 carry. Got an extra 8 yards out of that. Same speed, same efficiency. Now we're at 16.5 degrees of launch and 1450 in backspin. Carry was 299, total was 328. So, angle of attack, 9.4 degrees up to get to that 16 degrees. Isn't that the coolest thing ever? So when you maximize your numbers, I mean, many of you can easily swing at that speed, but I doubt that you're getting that kind of distance out of it. This is how you do it. So let me show you a couple of other swings that really maximize that club speed and that launch angle, and you know, enjoy the show. I really want to get technical. Check this out. You can see this tee right here. See how it's starting to get broken up? When you compress the ball will, you know, compress against that face and will get longer up and down. It becomes like an egg. So what happens is that the ball pushes down on the tee, and these tees start to, you know, fray and fall apart. This is why Sav and Mu use this tornado tee. Can you see that? And how many more miles an hour do you get out of the tornado tee?
About 2.5.
2.5 more miles an hour on a tornado tee, because when the ball pushes down on that, imagine, you can see it. The ball pushes down so hard that it actually breaks the plastic. So that kind of friction is really going to affect the speed of that ball. So with that tornado tee, you get a little bit more freedom and more natural distance.
That was pretty solid.
Ooh, man, look at that. Oh. Look, isn't that cool? So Mu steps up, and we look at some of that. So your cruising speed at 133 miles an hour, ball speed's at 195.
Yeah.
So 6.6 upwards, 15 degrees of launch, 2100 spin, because he got so much more speed than me.
Yeah, and I have this set at 7.5 degrees.
7.5 degrees, which is the lowest you can for a dark speed driver.
That's right.
And but 356 carry
Yeah.
over the 350-yard flagstick.
Right. So I have to
That's-
back up with the Ranger.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So we have to back that up. And is that your gamer club?
No, this is one of the long drive heads I have.
Okay.
This one's got more mass to it to swing easy, part of a training.
Ah, yeah. So you're getting less speed but more smash factor.
Correct, yeah. So we got
Okay.
146 on that one.
146. Wow, that's
yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is a phenomenal way to benefit. And you could see from face on, that was exactly the same setup. And you see just how well equipped you were to catch the ball on the way up.
Right.
And if you look at the top of that backswing,
Yeah.
this is a left-handed version of the old John Daly or the young John Daly.
That's right.
And that club's just pointing at the ground like it's pointing north. Right?
Yeah.
It's just incredible. It's just so much fun to watch Mu hit the ball. It's just amazing. So I hope you guys enjoyed that shot right there like as much as I did. Let's see if Savvy can follow that action. So that's a lot heavier. 12. It's usually 3
That's
grams.
so heavy.
This is like, I feel like, yeah, it's like, the head's like.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's incredible.
Yeah.
One of the things that we really appreciate from Cobra is the ability to put extra weight on the club. Mu's got 2 12-gram weights, and what's on the back?
An 8 or.
And
Let's see. It's a 3.
it's a 3 on the back.
But then even more lead tape at the front.
So the 3 on the back keeps the center of gravity nice and high, and at the front,
Yeah.
so you get this massive compression through the ball.
Yeah.
And you know, every one of these heads from last year obviously is a little bit caved in.
Yeah.
Right? So the performance right there. But one of the other things that we wanted to mention from Cobra, and the reason why we're with that company, is on average, it would take 20 to 100 reps max for Mu to go through any other club head on the market. And from the Aerojet, which really impressed us a big time, 4,500 hits that it took before Mu caved it in. And so it's a little bit less with the darkspeed, but still well above the average. So if you're looking for a durable driver that is super high performance, that darkspeed's amazing.
Yeah, especially when you're swinging at 155 miles per hour.
Right? So can you imagine the heft of that at that speed? It's like a freight train.
Yeah.
Wow. A high-speed freight train. A high-speed freight train.
Yeah.
So what are the weights that you have?
I have the least amount as possible.
She's
I
looking
have-
for pure speed.
little weight. 3, 3, and 3.
3, 3, and 3. All right.
Yeah. And sometimes in our speed session, we'll take all the weights out of it,
Oh, yeah.
but you're not allowed to compete with that. You have
Really?
to cover the holes.
Oh, you have to cover the holes. Why? Just safety or?
Apparently, it's like an accelerator or something.
Accelerated, the wind coming through underneath the holes will allegedly make the
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Okay, so what Mu's saying is that allegedly, if you take out the weights and the holes are exposed, it creates air turbulence that makes the club head go faster?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
What'd you say?
allegedly.
Allegedly. So you had, like, I've competed without weights, but you have to cover them with, like, electrical tape.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right.
Pardon me while I warm up again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad that, didn't that feel a little high in the face?
Yes.
So here's one of the pitfalls that when you have that high tee is the backspin, if you hit it too high in the face, just drops like a rock, right? So the ball loses all of its carry juice and, you know, so it falls out of the sky. So that was 260 carry. Still 290. I mean, if you're playing in Texas or, you know, in Scotland, that'll work. But we need that spin. What's the average spin that you perform at?
13.
Okay. So 1,300 RPM when in the center of the face. How'd that feel?
That was better.
Okay. So better on the spin. There's your 1300 spin,
Yep.
or yeah, 1200 backspin.
Better.
And as she's warming back up, you can see the speed start to come up from 105 and then some. So there you go. So that would be your typical drive. When Sav and I are competing, right? She's playing with Mu, and I'm playing with somebody else, and they're trying to kick our butts big time. And so she's always breathing down my neck. She's very motivated when she's on that golf course, and that's the typical drive I see you hit on the golf course.
Yeah, that's perfect spin.
Right? So that's
perfect
about
launch.
315 yards, you know, typically right down the middle. I mean, you split the flag stick right there.
Yeah.
And you know, that is super efficient. When you're ramped up, you're basically at 115 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And you're basically adding about 20 yards to that particular drive right there.
Yeah, I feel like we've been going pretty good for the last couple months, and now my baseline is so much higher.
It's cool, isn't it?
Like that drive is after 5-6 shots
Yeah.
of warming up.
Exactly. And,
So-
you've been coaching all morning. I mean,
Yeah.
you haven't had a chance to hit any yet.
Yeah.
So youth, but at the same time, you know, this is the normal process. But you can see with that higher tee, a person of Savannah's stature, and you know, it's 106 miles an hour. When did you ever see 106 miles an hour do 316 yards? I mean, that is massively optimized.
Yeah.
So this is available to all of you to really benefit and enjoy. So looking at technique again, you see that ball on a string. That's what you want to go back to. Because if you don't see where that club is passing, you're going to be obligated to focus on the ball because you can't predict impact. So you say, well, right now my blur is lined up really nice with the tip of that tee. It's bombs away, right? You just sling it in that direction. And the glue that holds everything together, you know where the blur is passing, you know where the low point of that blur is, and then all you have to do is witness that club flicking that tee or sending that ball in the direction that you want to start. If you lose your direction, if you black out and you go someplace else, that ball is no longer an intersection. It's the target. Then chaos will explode, guaranteed. So, last little tidbit, for many of our clients, like Eric the other day, you know, our clients love to rent the screens as well when we're not teaching. So I'm over there doing my thing, you know, answering emails and doing online lessons. And Eric I could just see him shaking his head. I can't believe it, you know, shoulder slumped. And I just go to Eric and I go, Eric, 250 max. So he can hit at 280. I said, Eric, 250 max, 230 carry at the most. Use only momentum. Put it in the center of the fairway. He starts hitting at 280 on a string, and he goes, oh my God, I can't believe I fell for that again, right? So it's very easy to start wanting to go after it hard. And when you go after it hard, these two here, they're trained to get the maximum speed with an efficient swing, a well-timed swing. But the instant you go too hard, too soon, everything goes out the window.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
Right? So you get to the top of the swing and you go hard, all you're doing is imploding that accordion.
Yeah.
Whereas you know that, man, I got to take this power and put it out there. So when these two are going harder, they're going harder that way. They're not going harder that way. You're not trying to hit the ball harder. You're trying to send the speed of your swing out there more efficiently.
Yeah, so if we were to look at these numbers a little bit more in detail, just so people understand why we can get to the 316 total, even though club speed and ball speed aren't at my highest right now because I'm still warming up, my angle of attack is 10.5 degrees up, which is allowing me to launch the ball almost 18 degrees. So that ball is staying in the air so much longer. It's penetrating so much more because that backspin is 1300. It's no balloon stuff.
And that will into the wind. It'll still work.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
would never tee it low in the wind.
Right.
I just continue like that.
Because you got such little spin, you know, and that's at 113 feet in the air. And this is why, you know, we see a lot of people write down, I got more club head speed and I don't go anywhere near as far as you do.
Yeah.
I said, well, there's a lot of factors involved. Are you, you know, is your launch angle at close to 20 degrees?
Yeah.
Because I mean, our launch angle is higher than a 7-iron launch angle.
Yeah. It's like if you aren't staying fully connected with the target all the way through that shot, and I'm talking all the way through the shot.
That's it.
Then you're not going to see
Elvis
that.
cannot leave the building.
Yeah, because I've seen with my students give up on the shot too early.
You can see it in
Yeah.
their body language, right?
Yes, so it's like getting that, it'll feel like a millisecond in your swing,
Yeah.
but it makes the biggest difference in terms of results.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's no joke difference.
Well, the anticipation, and you know, this is running a little bit longer than what we would want, but we got so many amazing nuggets to show you. When somebody is trying to keep their head down on the ball and they are intent at doing it at all costs, then what happens is the brain anticipates that the head's going to be there. That means there's no access to the target. And that means that, you know what? I'm tired of hurting myself. I'm going to start easing off on that juice. So the brain starts to anticipate the intent. And now, so let's say your anticipation is, well, I see beyond the ball, beyond the intermediate point, and into the picture. So now you're telling your brain we're going over here. So our focus is on the target side of the ball, and we're delivering out there. And what translates is incredible, because then the brain is organizing itself to get all the way through.
Yeah.
No more early extension. No more over the top. Over the top is simple. You get ready to hit the ball.
Yeah.
That's going to be an over the top immediately. And that's pop flies, pulls left, balloon slices to the right.
All of the above.
Right? A lot of spin and a lot of out of control. Into the wind, you got no chance.
Yeah.
So stick to what we're saying. If you need extra help, go to wisdomandgolfpremium.com and sign up for our online programs. I got a beautiful online program with Sav and with Mu, and we can tag team getting you the best performance possible from a technical standpoint all the way out to the golf course where it really matters. And we've got all of the goodies for you. So enjoy. We'll see you next time.